an appropriate, but this is supposed to be the with Coxon event. It doesn't seem like it is. In fact, it's not. This is the men's varsity quad. I guess maybe that event was scrapped if they don't go off, because this is Colgate. This is actually the men's varsity quad final, which is including Colgate, Dominican, and Oklahoma City. They're about halfway down the course. Looks like Colgate is out in front, and Oklahoma City not too far. So we could have a nice little race here in this men's quad event. So we talked a little bit about those Cox quads. Unsure if we'll see them now, as that event seems to have been passed over for the time being. But look at this. We got a great race here in this quad event. This is fun. Quad racing can be as exciting as 8 racing from time to time. And you'll see here this Colgate boat not too far out in front of this Oklahoma City boat as the drone does a nice whip around. Here's a nice shot of our 3rd place Dominican boat.
Now I know Dominican is primarily a sculling program, and I suspect that all or some of these gentlemen have doubled up from singles or doubles earlier in the week, and probably also the case with Oklahoma City, Dominican, Oklahoma, and maybe even Colgate. A problem with the quad width is I suspect that the 2 schools that were entered had men competing in the 4 width event and maybe didn't have time to change the rigging, or maybe at a place like the Merchant Marine Academy, people had to get back to duty up in Kings Point, something like that.
Yeah, so unfortunate we won't get to see that, but well worth the conversation either way. And, you know, it reminds me, talking about that Dominican crew doubling up, it reminds me of something Caitlin said when she was on the broadcast about how this early in the season she thinks, you know, you can't have too many race pieces in a weekend, right? Like, if they weren't racing here, their coaches would be making them line up and row 3, 4 2K pieces against another school or their teammates. The difference here is that there's a big time gap, right? You have to come off the water only to get back on the water hours or days later. But it is still, you know, about, at the end of the day, they're still trying to build fitness in these teams. So laying down as many 2Ks as you can in a weekend is never the worst thing.
I know there may be viewers asking how do you steer this boat? There's no coxswain. Well, like a single or a double, singles and doubles do not, most cases, well, singles do not. Doubles sometimes will have a steering mechanism on the stern of the boat attached to, in some way, to the skeg or fin of the boat. Quads always have some sort of a rudder on the stern of the boat close to the skeg or fin, and usually controlled by the person in bow seat through a cable mechanism attached to one of their feet. Typically the right foot of the bow person has a pivot on their right foot, and they can pivot their foot fractions of an inch or an inch to the left or right. If they turn it to the right, the boat's going to go to port. If they turn the toes of their feet to the left, they're going to go to starboard.
Colgate takes home, sorry to interrupt you there, Mark. Colgate takes home the gold there in the men's varsity quad, followed shortly by Oklahoma City. Sorry to interrupt.